What's up, everybody? I'm Stan, and welcome to Detail Comics, where we go over comics in detail. This is Preview Picks, the weekly show where I go over the comic books coming out on Wednesday, give you an idea what they're about, and whether there's something you should talk to your shop about. I'm going to start off with independent titles, and we're going to start with Green Valley number 4 by Max Landis, and this is continuing on the story of the Knights of Kelodia, and this time they're going to be meeting some dragons. So if this is anything like the previous issue where we found out who the Dark Wizard was, it's going to be pretty interesting and probably not necessarily what you expect. Another independent book is Motor Crush number 2, so that comes from the same creative team that rebooted Batgirl, and this is taking on the machine narcotic Crush, so this is a pretty interesting story. You also have Violent Love number 3, which continues this kind of modern-day Bonnie and Clyde situation, which is told through the eyes of a previous experience. It's pretty cool, and the real big thing from Image is going to be God Country number 1. So this is the tale of, say, a dementia-suffering old man that goes out into the pasture. He causes trouble from a whole bunch of people, but he finds himself a magical, mystical sword. So this is completely out there, and I'm really excited to see what this is all about. Jumping over to DC, we have Suicide Squad number 9, which is going to tell the original story of the original Suicide Squad, at least according to this crossover event, so that's the one that includes Lobo and all those other characters. Next, we have Flash number 14, also from Joshua Williamson, and this is Rogues Reloaded, which is going to reintroduce all the original Rogues. At least we're going to be talking about Captain Cold in this one, so that looks to be pretty interesting. Justice League vs. Suicide Squad gets its 4th installment, and this is going to be more battle, but it's going to be the original Suicide Squad versus the Justice League and the Suicide Squad kind of put together to try and protect Amanda Waller and whatever's hiding in Belle Reve Prison. Action Comics 971 continues, and we see Superman as an executioner, so that looks pretty interesting. The trial of Lex Luthor is predominantly over, and he has been found guilty by his peers, and that includes Superman, so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with that. Deathstroke number 10 is also coming out, and that continues one of the earliest missions that Slade Wilson ever went on with Wintergreen, so that's going to be a pretty interesting concept. Plus, we do see a little bit more of Rose Ravager's backstory as she's kind of finding out who she is. Titans number 7 isn't necessarily a direct continuation of the return of Wally West, but since he's back from the Speed Force, he gets to meet up with a man in blue, and him and Superman might be having some sort of race, according to this cover. It looks to be pretty interesting, and it's going to be kind of that stopgap between this one and then their next story arc, which is going to be continuing on in New York City, it looks like, somewhere around Manhattan. Detective Comics 948 is going to be pretty cool because we've got Marguerite Bennett who's coming on to really help tell the story of Batwoman as we kind of transition into Batwoman Rebirth, as well as her own individual title. So that's going to be pretty cool. But the big Batman book is going to be AllStar Batman number 6. So this is the reuniting of Scott Snyder and Jock on a Batman book, and it's about Mr. Freeze. So I can't wait to see these stark, gritty, dark colors that are really contrasted against the white and the cold blues of Mr. Freeze. I'm really excited to see where this one goes, and it's just the start of a bunch of different one-shots that are going to be involving different Batman villains, so I'm really excited about number 6. Wonder Woman number 14 concludes the Year 1 storyline, so this is where we get to finally see Wonder Woman battle against Ares, and this is going to be kind of interesting, so I'm really excited to see where that goes. And then as far as new number 1s, we have Justice League of America Vixen Rebirth, so that's going to be telling the origin story of Vixen, and if it's anything like Ryan Choi's origin story that happened last week, it's going to be a pretty good one, so definitely one to watch. Then coming out this week from Marvel, we have books like Silk number 16, which continues to tie into the Clone Conspiracy, however loosely it might tie into it. Hopefully there's going to be some sort of real connection to this, but overall, Prowler and Silk have been pretty much non-existent in terms of their necessity to the actual storyline. Rocket Raccoon number 2 is going to also come out, and while some people might not necessarily have appreciated or agreed with how that story was being told, it might not be what they expected, it's definitely something I'm going to give another shot to, just because it's very different and I can understand where the character's coming from. Spider-Man number 12 finally is going to deliver on the promise that it made when Marvel Now 2.0 was originally announced, and we get the kiss between Miles Morales and Spider-Gwen. So people might be excited for that. I don't necessarily know yet, but it's going to be the beginning of a 6-part crossover between the two books, so man, get in for the long haul on that one. IVX number 2 also continues the Inhumans vs. X-Men storyline, and with everything going on, I almost forgot that this comic book was coming out, so that's going to be kind of interesting, I guess. The one that I am excited for, though, is All New Wolverine number 16, which continues the Enemy of the State 2 storyline, and she's in Madripoor. All kinds of things are going to be getting crazy. It's not concluded yet, but the tantalizing cover that they put out with this one, it just has me excited for this, and Tom Taylor's doing a really good job with that book. Another book that's got me excited is Jessica Jones number 4, so after Jessica Jones number 3, where we got this kind of one-on-one with the woman that was carrying the empty briefcase and how she's actually kind of being tied to this kind of hidden organization, it's really got me intrigued to see what Brian Michael Bendis thinks that he told us in Civil War II, and how he's going to expand on that in his own individual books. Another one where that's going to be taking place is just Captain America Steve Rogers by Nick Spencer. So issue number 9 is the trial of Maria Hill. So Captain America, the evil Hydra agent, is still trying to enact this coup against the Red Skull, and he's moving his pieces around the board. So I'm wondering how this trial is going to take place and how it's going to be basically impactful into his plans. Daredevil number 15 by Charles Soule is the beginning of a brand new story arc and a whole series of books which is going to be kind of coined Running with the Devil. While this isn't the actual storyline that's going to be taking place in this, the arc isn't named Running with the Devil, that's what he kind of coined it, and this is going to involve Elektra, Kingpin, Bullseye, and Daredevil as they kind of make their way across all these different story arcs. So I'm excited to see where those are going to go. I haven't really been reading Daredevil, so this is a great place for people to start. Another really good book coming out is going to be Mighty Thor number 15. So if after the conclusion of this whole League of Realms situation and the previous 2 issues, which is kind of a short conjunction piece, Mighty Thor number 15 starts the Asgard Shi'ar War. So this is just, we're talking about 2 galactic forces that are just going to come together and clash. And on the cover, we see, obviously, the return of Russell Dodderman to the art, which is fantastic. And then you got Thor on a Thor book. Like, not just Jane Foster Thor, but like Odin's son Thor. So he's going to have to play a role in this at some point in time. Otherwise, it's a little bit of false advertising on Jason Aaron and Marvel's part. But I'm not really worried. It's probably going to drop in somewhere around March, April timeframe as to when he gets involved in this whole storyline. The big book, though, from Marvel for me is going to be Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows number 3. So I'm really excited for Renew Your Vows. It's just one of my favorite Spider-Man books out right now. Even though I'm kind of okay with Clone Conspiracy right now, it's just Renew Your Vows has so much potential, and I really love Ryan Stegman's art, so I can't wait to see where this goes. This is a storyline that had to kind of continue to this point in time. Originally it was going to be a little bit shorter, but they've got to pack so much into it, it's got to go on to a couple extra issues. So I'm really excited to see where number 3 goes, and I'm really excited about the overall series in general. So those are the books I'm planning on picking up on Wednesday, but I want to know what you guys are going to grab too, so hit me up in the comments down below, and we can start that conversation. If there's something you want to see a specific review on, don't forget to comment that in the comments, so that way I can kind of get a little bit of better idea as to what people are going to want to watch. As always, if you like what you see, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe right there to get more news, reviews, and commentary on comic books, comic book movies, comic book TV shows and games, and anything and everything inside the world of comics.